my plans for 6 months. Hello and welcome to or back to Miss Craftslet's Lair. Today I am going to follow up that yarn stash reorganization and cataloging video with my plans for 6 months. So first off, we've got some math that we need to get out of the way before I can go into specifics. So I went back into my video catalog and found this video detailing how much yarn I used in the year 2023. Now, the interesting bit about that is that in that particular video, I used yards instead of grams. So that being said, I had to do some math, I had to do some calculating and some, to figure out where to go from with that. So in that particular video, I mentioned that I used 21,386 yards of yarn. Now, that was broken down to I used Pound of Love and Big Twist Value Pound Plus mainly for that year. So with that, this is where the math comes in. So with Pound of Love, you would get 1,020 yards for 454 grams. The Big Twist Value Pound Plus is 1,093 yards for 500 grams, which gets you a total of 2.24 yards per gram in the Pound of Love and 2.19 yards in a gram of the Big Twist Value Pound Plus. Bring in the fact that there was a bit of a mix and having to do that math. So figuring out the grand total from the yarn usage in 2023, that again, 21,386 yards. Divide that into to convert to grams, and that is, if all of it would have been Pound of Love, it would have been 9,547 grams. Had it all been Big Twist, it would have been 9,765 grams of yarn used. Now, because it was kind of a mix in between, I added them together, divided by 2 to come up with an average there of how much about I used in reality for grams. And I came up with 9,656 grams of yarn thereabouts were used in 2023, give or take, because I did not keep track of the yarn for grams, just yards. So because of that, I will give you now that my 6-month goal of yarn to use is going to be 5,000 grams. I think that is a doable. I think I did the math. Let's see, where's that sheet? That math comes up to I'll need to use about 833.33 repetitive per month in order to stay on track. So I think that is totally doable. We are now at the 5th day of October at the time of recording this. So that and in those 5 days I have used about 500 grams of yarn. So I think we're well within some wiggle room for 5,000 grams. Okay, with that being said, I do have some plans that I want to let you guys know of when it comes to how I'm going to be using up some of this yarn. So first off, I have been working on a corner to corner blanket, which is what I've been using, what I've used that 500-ish grams so far of yarn on. With making this, I have discovered though that that comically large project bag that I had crocheted and showed in this video is actually a really good size for this size of project. And I think it would also be a good size project for coming up uh, later on patterns that I would like to use here that I'm going to be talking about in just a second. So I am planning on making two of those, one in tan and one in blues. Now the tan yarn is a yarn that I had mentioned in this video in the previous video that I wasn't going to count the grams for that particular skein of yarn because of the fact that it was already in lot for a project. Now, it was already in a project bag. I had some of it worked up, didn't care for it, so I decided to frog it, and it is going to be put into the project bit put to use making the project bag. So that is not going to knock any off of the yarn total. As a matter of fact, it actually might add to it if I don't use the entire skein. So there is that. The blues are going to be the same blues that I had left over from my snowflake fairy in this video. As soon as the blue comically large project bag is finished, that is going to get some, I want to say it's mocha is the color of it. I could be wrong, but I am intending on this particular color, like yarn that I'm thinking of is actually, I have three large skeins of it, three of the, I want to say it's Big Twist Value Pound Plus. I have three skeins of it, total skeins. I want to put those to use at making the cozy hoodie by Hobby. Not sure how they pronounce that. It seems like a lot of my creator friends have problems with that. I want to say it's Hobby. So if I am incorrect, yes. But I am going to be putting that to use with that particular pattern. The next pattern that I want to use is the Sailor Stripes by Drops. The reason why I chose this particular pattern is the fact that it does use a different yoke style. It looks like it uses what they call European yoke. I have not tried this before, so that is why I'm choosing this particular sweater to make. I may have to do a little bit of pattern changes because of the fact that I think the yarn that I have is slightly a different weight, which I think I can get around just fine. There is also a sister pattern to Sailor Stripes. It is also made by Drops Design, and this is called the Northern Shore Sweater. This also uses that same European yoke from what it looks like. This does call for a bulky weight yarn, so I know that if I do end up working this particular sweater up with the yarn I have in my stash, which is fully what I intend to do, I will I do know for that I will have to make some changes to the pattern in order to create this sweater. But again, it's that European yoke that I want to try out. And then I do have one more sweater pattern that I want to work up here at the beginning of this yarn challenge. And this is the wave pullover, another knit sweater that I want to try out because of the fact that I want to try those waves because they are they look quite interesting to me. And I have I have crocheted waves. I have not done this style of wave in knit, so I'm wanting to play around with that. If you are sensing a theme here, I kind of want to try new things. And the final things that I want to talk about as to what I plan on doing with all of this yarn that I have is the fact that I do want to make a couple of scrappy blankets. So the first one that I am looking at to kind of go off of, but still kind of play around with, not do exactly what the pattern says, I don't think. We will see what happens. But the first one is the violet blanket. This one I think is really cool. It uses the moss stitch in order to make the stripes. So you would work the moss stitch and then you'd work back down in moss stitch along the edge to then work another strip. So I'm thinking that I might change that up just a little bit and instead of doing rectangles, do squares. Um, I think that might actually look pretty cool, but we shall see when I get to it. Another option that I was thinking about doing is doing a square and then doing a little couple of back and forth, about a half inch, I think I was thinking, um, of white or cream yarn to kind of offset the colors just a little bit in case, because that is going to be a roll for color. I'm definitely not the creator of the idea of rolling dice for colors. However, I do want to do that because I have all of that scrap yarn that I need to go through in those totes. So another option for a scrappy blanket is one using granny squares of either similar size or slightly different. So you'd have one really large, like one that's bigger, and then maybe four that would go in, or two or whatever that would go into that same size blanket. Another idea. Another idea for scrappy blankets that I have is to make kind of a log cabin style quilt look in crochet or knit, where you would start off with a square, work along one side equal, and then work along the other side of that and kind of make almost like a log cabin style quilt, only crochet. So that's another option that I have for all of the scrap yarn that I have upstairs, because I want to say that was like 11,000 grams. So that could make me quite a few blankets. So those are my plans. That is my goal. I have no clue how well I'm going to do with this, but this is what you guys get to watch for the next few months. I hope you enjoy. I do have other projects coming up that are not going to be what I have listed, so you will be able to see those as well coming up. So that is what I am going to be working on, as well as many other projects. So if you like this, like, share, and subscribe. If you are able to throw me some hype points, hype. I don't know. It's something new. I'm gonna get used to that. But um, yeah. So if you like this, again, like, share, subscribe, comment below what you think of my ideas, and if you have any other great scrap busting ideas, I would love to find out. I would love to maybe add a little bit more to my idea list. So until next time, bye.